if elected, I'll lie about weapons of mass destruction as a pretext to invade another country.
I'll call myself an environmentalist, then gut clean air standards.
Our allies will go from respecting us to hating us, and I don't care.
I'll leave no child behind, unless they can't afford it.
I promise to keep you in a state of fear and anxiety, so you never question what we're doing.
And if you do, we'll call you unpatriotic.
Bring 'em on.
The war they are in has been declared over by the same man who lied them into it. Their reward? Combat pay cut in half. $1.5 billion cut to their family housing. $20 billion cut to military health care. No health care for reservists.
My answer is bring them on.
Thousands wounded, hundreds dead, and no end in sight. If we support our troops, why can't Bush? Or is this what they mean when they say, an army of one?
Jobs lost, 2.4 million. Federal deficit, $455 billion. War in Iraq, 9,000 human lives. Friends left at the United Nations, 3. America's future, bankrupt.
The time is now. Take our country back.
We'll take care of her. Got my best man Dick looking at it now.
George Bush says he is fighting terrorism. What does he do? Cut funding for first responders. He says he is for education. What does he do? Underfund his own plan. He says he supports our veterans. What does he do? Cut funding for their health care. George Bush said he'd restore honor and integrity to the White House. It's not what you say, George. It's what you do.
When Bush got into the driver's seat, he took over the largest surplus in American history and turned that surplus into the largest deficit in history. The U.S. economy has lost 3.3 million jobs, the most since the Great Depression. Then Bush drove us into war with Iraq. We're losing lives, we're hemorrhaging money, and these costs are driving our country closer to bankruptcy. Just where does George Bush think he's taking us?
Once upon a time, a man set out to change America. Under his leadership, 3.3 million jobs disappeared. He signed a bill taking away our rights to privacy. He cut hundreds of millions of dollars from education, including his own No Child Left Behind Act. He even proposes draining $1 trillion out of the Social Security program. Who benefits from these changes? Not us.
25,000 liters of anthrax, 38,000 liters botulinum toxin, enough doses to kill several million people, enough to subject millions of people to death. Our intelligence sources tell us that he has attempted to purchase high-strength aluminum tubes suitable for nuclear weapons production.
Imagine a world where corporations choose leaders, put them in power,
and have them rewrite laws to increase profit.
Imagine a world where corporations start wars
to create increased demand for their products.
Imagine a world where the news media,
owned by these corporations,
only tells the public what they want them to know.
Imagine a president who sells out his people and their environment.
to boost the wealth of a few. Unbelievable? It should be.
In my country, a group of religious extremists are reshaping the government to promote their own agenda and morality.
The government can keep a list of everyone I call, and they do not need a judge's permission. Our citizens are seized and held in prison without being charged of a crime, without the right to a trial, and without a lawyer. Why should you care about what is happening to my country? Because my country is the United States of America.
Kids across America are digging deep. President Bush's tax cuts mean big tax breaks for millionaires and billionaires. Paying for them won't be easy, but these kids are ready to do their part. In 2003 alone, George Bush put every child in America $7,400 into debt. To these children, we have one thing to say.
Thanks, kids.
Easily paid for by Billionaires for Bush.
Ladies and gentlemen, President George W. Bush.
Saddam Hussein had an advanced nuclear weapons development program. Saddam Hussein recently sought significant quantities of uranium from Africa. Saddam Hussein aids and protects terrorists, including members of Al-Qaeda.
During his administration, President Bush has presented 3 million Americans have lost their jobs. The president has cut unemployment benefits, has cut health care for veterans. At the largest annual deficit in history, and bankrupt the Treasury. It's dissolved more international treaties than any other president in U.S. history, and removed more freedoms and civil liberties from